every single divisional ranking for each team, and their record in the NFL is right below us. We're going to kind of go through briefly because we spent a long time talking and uh, kind of give our thoughts on we think they're going to make the playoffs. NFC North, you got the Lions, Vikings, Green Bay, and then you got the Bears. I think Lions and Vikings are pretty much surefire picks for the postseason, but you only get seven. You only get 7 spots.
Hey, hold it on the Vikings. Okay, hold it on the Vikings. I don't. They could be. We're going to talk about frauds in NFL or in college in this next after this next segment.
That's a good
I'm not 100. I know they started hot. I'm just not that. I'm not 100% sold on the Vikings. I'm really not. I honestly, with a healthy Jordan Love, I believe in the Packers more than I believe in the Vikings.
I think
That's just
Jordan
me.
Love's been a little fraudulent this year.
Well, I mean, when they play Detroit, you run him out there and he's not healthy. So you're asking just way too much for him for a guy that's not 100%. You know what I'm saying? And the thing with Malik Willis, too, is Malik Willis has been playing good. Why not just run Malik Willis out there? They had a bye last week. That gives you 2 weeks of rest for Jordan Love. And I just don't know why they did that with Jordan Love. I have a couple Packers friends, and they all agree. They were saying the same thing, and they told that to me, and I'm like, yeah, well, I agree with you. I don't understand why you would just bring Jordan Love out there when he's hurt. Just let him get some rest. Malik Willis hadn't lost a game, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean,
not yet.
But the thing that I just don't know about the Vikings, the Lions are a surefire playoff spot, no doubt. But regardless of me not knowing about the Vikings, and you probably agree with this too, I could see a situation where all 3 of them make the playoffs.
Yeah, let's leave out the Bears. They deserve to be left out.
Yeah,
No,
Bears.
I could see that situation for sure. It's not anything that is too far fetched. I mean, we've seen the Packers, and they've struggled a little bit. I think, and you're right. It was with an unhealthy Jordan Love. That's what their struggles came from. And if you keep Malik Willis in, who's on, I'm a big guy rolling with what's hot. When you prematurely bring a guy back from injury, you could prolong an injury. You could make him sit out longer. Why not keep the guy that was winning you games? And it worked for the Steelers. The Packers wanted to try it out with their starter. So that happened there. We have the NFC East. Eagles are number 1, followed by the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. Man, I'd love to see Jaden Daniels make the playoffs, Ty. I'd love to see Jaden Daniels make the – I mean, this is win mode for the Commanders. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal, which is statistically when teams win Super Bowls the most is when they have a quarterback on a rookie deal that you can use that money you have to pay for a starting quarterback around your team, around that quarterback, and go win a chip.
Yeah, they could. They could, certainly. It's just them two, though. It ain't Dallas and it ain't New York.
Oh, Dak's out for the season. I don't know if he was in, they would have made it.
Yeah, no, well, they're just really bad anyway. So, but yeah, it's just going to be Philly and Washington. Yeah, you're right. Washington could definitely make a run at it. They played a great game against Pittsburgh. It's just you decide to bring a rookie in a situation where you're Pittsburgh's going to try and draw you off sides. Maybe not the right decision, especially with the I think the veteran presence that they have on the defensive line for that team. That's one of their strong points. Yeah, Commanders could definitely do it. Eagles can't count them out. They still have a lot of players, and obviously they're first in the division for a reason. So that'll be an interesting game tomorrow night. It's actually Philly and Washington tomorrow night, so we get to see that for the first time this year. So that'll be fun to see. But I do think those two teams, regardless of who wins the division, probably could end up making the playoffs because it's really a top-heavy NFC. There's just not a lot of depth in the NFC. Now the West is, and we'll talk about the West in a second. The West is just up for grabs, but yeah, I think both of those teams could definitely make the playoffs, regardless of who wins the division.
Now you get to the NFC South, which is our division tie. You got the Falcons, the Buccaneers, followed by the Saints and Panthers. This is gonna be. I think this is another toss-up division. We're about to talk about the West. I mean, this division could be a toss-up between Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't use the bias and say the Saints. The Saints still won't make the playoffs. Although we have some winnable games coming up. I know what they'll do. They'll get our hopes up, and then they won't make the playoffs. But minus that, yeah, it's probably going to be between the Bucks and the Falcons. I think the Bucks are off this week. Played a close game last week or this previous week with San Francisco, lost by 3. Yeah, so they could definitely. They just need to get Mike Evans back. That's one big thing. Got to get Mike Evans back. Their run game has actually been pretty good, honestly. They've had the two backs.
Bucky Irving, baby.
Rashad White and Bucky Irving have been great. So, and Baker's been all right this year. I say all right. I mean, he's been good this year. He's turned it over some, but he's been good this year. Their defense has kind of slacked a little bit, which is weird because Todd Bowles is your head coach. So you would think, defense coordinator, defensive guy would be a little bit better. But, yeah, you're right. Falcons are obviously still the front runner. They drop it to New Orleans, which was great. But they dropped the game to New Orleans. That still doesn't mean
field goals.
That's something that surprised me.
After kicking the longest field goal in franchise history.
Yeah.
After kicking the longest ever.
As a Saints fan, why couldn't he do that the first game? He killed us with field goals in the first game. But, yeah, that was crazy. But I still think, they're talented. Bijan is great. Their defense has got a lot of stars on it. I guess, honestly, who would you say their prolific receiver is, honestly? Because I feel like it's been a mix of everybody. But I think kind of Drake London has really hit his stride.
I think that's the only answer.
Yeah.
Now, I've loved – now, you bring in Ray McCloud, you bring in Darnell Mooney. Those guys have provided a nice little cushion.
Mooney has been good. Yeah. McLeod will hit you every now.
But I wouldn't consider them prolific.
Mooney's been good.
I wouldn't consider Kyle Pitts prolific this year.
No, he's been kind of.
But Drake London's been that guy. He's been that guy this year.
And obviously Bijan and Kirk's played well too. So it's definitely between them two. With that division, I think it's just one team's going to make it though. I think that's how it's going to be. I think they're going to be right in the middle. Both will be right around the same record, and just one team will make it. But it'll be an interesting fight between those two.
Speaking of one team making it, it's about the same scenario we have in the NFC West with the Cardinals on top. You got the San Francisco 49ers, the Rams, who just lost last night to the Dolphins, and then you have the Seattle Seahawks, dead last. Now, a team that was winning the division the first 4 or 5 games into the season, and now you're dead last in your own division. The Cardinals, man. The Call of Duty, I think the Call of Duty slump is finally over for Kyler Murray.
I think so.
I think he wants to play some Madden instead.
He looks like Oklahoma Kyler Murray right now. That's what he's looking like. I mean, he looks good. He does. McBride has been really good for them as a tight end. James Conner's running it well. That's something that I felt like he struggled for the past couple of years. Wasn't he at Pittsburgh before, and that's where he kind of made his mark. And then he moved to didn't he move to Washington?
James Conner? No. Pittsburgh in Arizona.
But the thing is though with him, he did struggle a little bit after that first year that he made some moves. But he's kind of found his stride. He's a good back for him. Definitely. The Cardinals are something which you did not expect at the beginning of the year. Marvin, I can't go without mentioning MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm about to say.
So I mean he's been great, and we all knew that was going to happen. So Can't believe it, honestly. I wouldn't have believed myself if I was saying this at the beginning of the year, but I think the Cardinals will end up probably winning that division.
Over San Francisco.
San Fran's good, but I'm telling you, man, they just play so together is the thing. They're just so together when they play. I mean, it's kind of a
why?
younger nucleus of guys, but I mean, they play so
why?
good, Connor. Why's that?
Let me tell you. Birds of a feather stick together, Ty.